All right. We are going live here in Facebook world, and my computer is totally freezing now, so I can't share it into my Facebook groups. Vivian, how are you? How are things in Texas?
I'm doing great. It's finally starting to cool off. Things in Austin are lovely as always. I love Austin. Oh, okay.
Amazing. Tell us about. I'm gonna grab my phone real quick so I can share it into the group because it froze on my computer here. Tell us who you are. Tell us about you. Sorry to get started off on a weird note. We had a lot of people tune in for the last one on hosting insurance days. So tell us about you. I'm so excited to finally do one of these with you.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on here. My name is Vivian Yip. I live in Austin, Texas. I have been hosting midterm rentals before midterm rentals was even a word. And I've also grown up in extended stay housing. My mother was a bank executive, and we relocated all the time, and we stayed in corporate housing in Hong Kong as well as in parts of Canada. So it's kind of been full circle for me to be in this space. And now I teach other people about midterm rentals. I have a business specifically in midterm rentals and a brand. So I've been. I mean, you can find me on Facebook in my Facebook group, Midterm Rental Wealth. And my goal really is to help others find financial success in the same way that I did with midterm rentals. Because of this investment strategy that I found very accidentally, really, I was able to quit my job when I lost my hair from stress. I lost my hair in about 8 weeks from stress. And because I understood and learned the midterm rental strategy, I was able to pivot and go all in and find steady income to support my family and support me and my lifestyle. And I want to help other people find success in the same way.
That's amazing. All right, so let's talk insurance stays. And right before we went live, you were telling me about this amazing booking that you got, and it seems like it was last minute because you were like there in your place until 1:30 in the morning. So
Yeah.
how does that come about? How did you get started? And after that, how do other folks get into insurance stays?
Yeah. So I this particular property that I posted about, you saw it on my Facebook stories. We had just finished hosting a 5 month direct booking. And this 5 month direct booking came from a realtor who knew that I host these extended stays. And they had a team of lifeguards come into the city to lifeguard at different places all summer. So after we hosted that stay, I was thinking that our Airbnb algorithm was dead because it's been sitting in the back end for so long. So my team and we put in all the science we know about waking up algorithms, and we um, started 7 days before the listing was going to come empty again, and we started kicking up the algorithm every single day so that we could get that property to the top of the search pages. And a day after the available date, we got another booking for 60 days from ALE Solutions, who does also use Airbnb.
Wow. That's awesome. And that was in this new booking you got was like $18,000 for 60 days, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so how do people like position themselves best to be seen and get the eyeballs on their place? You know, what we're going through right now in Western North Carolina after Helene is all of our bookings are canceling right now, and
Yeah.
the media is making things look real crazy,
Yeah.
and they are crazy. We don't want to diminish, what's happening in the area. And I think this presents an opportunity for a lot of hosts in our area that aren't familiar with the MTR or midterm rental strategy at all to learn a little bit about pivoting and making sure that, the money that they've spent, the investments that they've made are well protected in times like this. So how do people, what would be your best advice on what folks should do right now if they're seeing their calendar for the next couple of months just go empty?
Yeah. So my personal experience with Airbnb reservations canceling, came with a pandemic. I was already hosting before the pandemic, and when the pandemic came, similar, it was a bit of a tragedy when it comes to business. They were starting to cancel reservations, not only on my behalf, but the guests were also canceling because they couldn't make it, or circumstances changed, whatever it was. I felt like I lost control of my business. So I put forth a ton of effort into learning how to capture my own direct bookings and how to do it safely, and how to make sure that I protect my property, protect my business, and run a smooth sailing business. So the number one key to having good success in running midterm rentals is be easy to do business with. Okay. And I'm really starting to learn that I've really learned the art and science behind this, and not only be easy to do business with on Airbnb, but also be easy to do business with on uh, on a direct booking website. So, from an investor standpoint, that means having a system and process in place to ensure that I am taking reservations that I am comfortable with, right? So, I have a property management system that when someone takes a booking on Airbnb, that I automatically have them click a link, they upload their ID, front and back, whatever it's their passport, their driver's license, whatever it is, then they have to take a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That way, AI is generating and making matches to make sure it's the same person. Then they signed a renter's agreement. In this renter's agreement, I curated with a eviction attorney here in Texas, right? I wanted to make sure I'm working backwards from the law and using the right language in my document, because people are using long-term rental agreements, and I don't think that that's the right thing to do. Whether or not the midterm rental lease holds up in a court of law, that's one thing, but I feel more comfortable knowing that I'm treating them like a guest, not like a tenant. And they're treating me like an owner, not like a landlord.
Amazing. Okay, really interesting.
And the third thing is having a way to knowing how to control your calendar so that you're able to attract these bookings. I never take reservations in advance. I'm literally, when I have a property open up, my calendar is bookable for a year in advance. So when you're able to structure your business in a way that's so easy for someone to book with you, then that is how you make it easy to do business with. And they book.
It's so interesting because short-term rentals, you want to be booked out way in advance. And actually, that's where you get the best rates. But I'm thinking almost like being available last minute for an MTR is likely where you get the best rates, because it's, there aren't many other choices out there except for you that are just boom available today. Is that right?
It's a completely different strategy. So if you're trying to pivot from short-term rental to midterm rental, you have to be comfortable with zero bookings in the future and landing that long stay at that very last minute. Because if you're thinking about insurance housing, people like I have people in my group all the time. They're like, well, it's already October. How come I don't have a booking for December? Well, unfortunately, nobody predicts that they're going to have their house wash away in a hurricane. Nobody predicts a flood or a fire. So these things, a need for midterm rental happens at a very last minute. So it's important to position your business to align with the needs of the people.
Got it. What are the best portals out there for people to get in front of the eyes?
I mean, at the end of the day, Zillow is a really strong resource. If you want to publish, if you have a property that is available and maybe you're still waiting for utilities to come on, put it up there. Put it on Zillow. I think if you're a realtor, put it in the MLS, and that can syndicate to many different sites as well, like Trulia, HotPads, Zillow. Stay on top of Airbnb. I've actually prepared a database just for this call as well, so that we can try and capture to see which properties are available, and I can help distribute that information. I actually prepared a small deck today if you want me to go through that.
Yeah, please.
So I wanted to make sure that we could kind of go through the points that I thought were important for us to talk about today. So this is just me. If you wouldn't mind, I'll just take a step back. My business, you've probably heard of Hestia.
Mm-hmm.
Hestia is like the super host status of Airbnb, but we represent the midterm rental space. And it's a professional host program only. And we help those hosts take their properties and position them in front of the businesses that use midterm rentals. It's a brand strategy. And overall, though, I help teach people to buy, invest, and attract long stays and become easy to do business with. That's the short answer. So I invite everybody watching to please join my Facebook group. It's called Midterm Rental Wealth. And let me just skip over to right now what's happening in this moment, right? Before we went live, we talked about who was in the North Carolinas, who's in South Carolina, who's in Florida and Georgia. There are tons of people needing housing. So we have contractors, we have volunteers, we have people from FEMA, we have NGOs, we have families, and the Mormon Church. And I put the Mormon Church in here because my sister-in-law, she is from the Mormon Church, and we spoke this morning because I was wondering what they're doing, because I know they had a huge role in Hurricane Harvey. So I thought they must be doing something to help in the Carolinas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar, and I'm a supply chain practitioner, I have my master's degree in supply chain. I have an admiration for all kinds of supply chain. The Mormon Church really, truly does have the logistics behind assisting humanity issues like this to a science. So these are the people that need housing. These are the people that need midterm rentals, not just insurance. I didn't want to focus only on insurance because I'll get to that in a second. So
I've had, and not to interrupt you, but I mean, my phone just the last 2 days has been blowing up with law enforcement. All these people. Actually, I haven't had any insurance even reach out yet because insurance hasn't even had a chance. So I think
they're lagged by 2 weeks. They got a 2-week lag over there. So the people that immediately need housing are these contractors, volunteers, FEMA, and families.
So smart. Yeah, so smart. I think earlier we talked a lot about insurance, but like if you want to get booked today for the next 2 weeks, insurance might not even be the thing to focus on. It would be
correct. There's a lot of red tape you need to go through with insurance. And if you can imagine, there's only so many adjusters, but so many families. And this morning, when you approached me about doing this webinar, I actually reached out to someone in my network and who knows a ton about this stuff. And I asked him for his opinion and what kind of guidance he can give me about this. And his first thing he said was, this storm is different. And this storm is different. This is Jack Hanks. He's someone that I've been speaking to. We talk about insurance housing, ALE housing. He's the president and CEO of VPA Public Claims Adjusting. And I've added his email here in case somebody needs his company's service and assistance. But he was so forthcoming with information this morning about how people should approach their insurance when it comes to this situation here. So his main, I said, if there's one message, what should you give the audience? He said, don't rush a claim. So if anyone's listening here and you're impacted by this, don't rush your claim. Make sure you use licensed contractors. Get referrals on these contractors. Don't fall for salespeople that don't have crews or the funds to do the work. And pay them only when you get the insurance money. These guys, a lot of them will try to rush you and pressure you to get the work done. When your insurance hasn't approved it, then you're going to be footing the bill. So make sure you get everything, go according to the insurance adjuster and how the process works. So don't fall for getting rushed into it. He said, tell everybody to stop panicking. The damage has been done. You don't need to hire a contractor today, and get the proper documentation or you will be footing the bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the message he gave me. The other thing is he wanted to explain why the storm is different. Okay, the storm is different because many homes are in non-flood zones flooded.
Yeah.
So these families, these people that have these beautiful homes or even not so beautiful homes, doesn't matter, their homes did not have flood insurance because they never anticipated ever having the need for it. So if you live in a non-flooding zone and your home is flooded, you've got a huge problem on your hands. And FEMA is only good for about $3,500, and it's already $9 billion in debt. And if you do have insurance, you do have the flood insurance, VPA can assist you. Otherwise, you have to go and seek resources from FEMA, from Salvation Army, and all those other non-government organizations.
Okay.
But if you do have insurance, I just wanted to go over what insurance looks like. There's this thing called loss of use, and I think Dr. Rachel had touched on it really briefly. So this is what your insurance looks like. And coverage A is your dwelling. This is the value of your rebuild, right? If something were to happen to your home. And then you have this thing called coverage D, which is loss of use. Coverage D is typically 20 to 25% of coverage A. So loss of use, this number, 84,800, becomes the amount of money that you have paid for in your policy that allows you for temporary living, for hotels, for food, for dry cleaners, etc.
Got it. Okay.
Any questions on that?
No, and this is what basically a homeowner has to use potentially for things like this insurance housing if they are displaced and they have to go rent a place.
Yeah, correct. And this has to be approved by your adjuster. You can't just start spending. You have to go through the chains of getting it approved by your adjuster before you can start incurring the costs.
Okay.
Okay, I want to make sure that everybody understands where that money comes from, right? Insurance isn't just insurance. There's the policyholder has to have paid for something in order to get the benefits from it.
Got it.
Okay. Back to what Jack was saying, that this is a really unfortunate tragedy where homes that are destroyed, they don't have the right insurance. There is no one to sue in this situation. You can't just point fingers now. So the resources for the public are Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, UNICEF, Salvation Army. I also mentioned the Mormon Church. I talked to my sister-in-law for about 30 minutes this morning, and he was saying that the Church of Latter-day Saints actually deploys people every weekend, and they'll go team by team, and the church sends pods of people to go and stay for, a long weekend, do all the mucking on the houses, which is cutting up the drywall up to where the floods are, and cleaning everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if you need hurricane help relief, this is a phone number to call. So that's a muck out right there. And I encourage everyone, you can take a screenshot of this and share it with anybody, any loved ones or friends and family. And then for those that are looking to get a booking, I wanted to give you a brief overview on how to do this. I obviously have been running extended stay housing for a long time. I have a business that helps to make the connections for people. Typically, we're only doing it for our members, which are Hestia homes. But in this situation, this is a humanitarian scenario where I'm just trying to find housing. I'm just trying to collect a database of who has available housing, whether it's furnished, whether it's unfurnished, or maybe it's furnished and it doesn't have electricity right now, but it'll get electricity in 2 weeks. So in point number 1, I want you to enter your property into my database. So take a picture of this with your phone, or take a screenshot, and you can send it off to anybody you know that has a property. Okay, they can enter in here. I'm asking for square footage, number of bedrooms, what the capacity is, if you have, maybe you have handicap access, if you allow pets, if you have a fenced yard. They're pretty simple, basic questions, and then how to reach you. The second thing I encourage you to do is offer a reasonable rate. Insurance is looking at fair rental value. So if you're looking at someone that has to replace their entire home, you want to be at a fair rental value. That means on a 1-year lease, you do about 10% over long-term rental rates, plus $300 per bedroom per month, plus utilities. And then maybe you have pest control, lawn care, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Shorter leases can pull a much higher rate. It just depends on who you come across.
Got it.
Number 3 is make sure you're taking a security deposit, that you have a pet fee, screen your applicants, and collect cleaning fees the day they move in. Because as soon as they move in, you're going to clean it anyway. So collect those cleaning fees when they move in, just like you would on a standard Airbnb booking. And for those of you that have time and you want to set up direct booking capabilities, now is a really, really great time to do that. My favorite way in my system of doing it is I use a product called Journey. Earlier, I mentioned that I get a lease agreement on every reservation. I get security deposits. I get AI screening. I use Journey. Journey is amazing. So you can, I can send this deck out to you afterwards, Tyler.
Yeah.
But Journey, you can use that and take direct bookings. It'll take a little bit of setup time to get that done, but you import your Airbnb listing into it. Journey becomes your system of record. But in the meantime, you also get to have your own direct booking website, which I can show you really quickly. Oh, it's not really working right now. I don't know why. I'll just show you what once you have your direct booking set up, then you can actually share this with people. Because one thing my sister-in-law shared with me is that when the church finds a good home, they will start circulating that amongst the community. That way the teams can go in, because the volunteers, they pay for their own stays.
Wow.
They're really doing this out of their own heart. They're paying for their own stays. They're exerting their own energy, and be reasonable, because there's going to be people outside of insurance that are also needing housing as well. So once you get your Journey set up, then you can actually have your direct booking website, and people can come in here and book directly with you without having to navigate with Airbnb. And then you get your lease agreements, you get your ID check, you get your security deposit.
And this whole process, is this something that Hestia, you kind of offer as a service for folks if they need some help with this, or like what do you offer?
I've been navigating this a lot. I would say that we can try to make the connections, right? So let me just go back to this deck here. In this deck here, in this deck here, I talk about, first of all, I can help, but I can only help you if you have your calendar set up correctly. If you still have reservations open in the future, that might be very hard for me to help you book a stay.
Mm-hmm.
So try to get yourself set up so that your calendar is open for these long stays, just like I mentioned. Open it up for 365 days, and then use Price Labs or Wheelhouse to manage your minimum stays over time. So I put a little visual here that says, like, between now and the next 7 days, I take one night stays. Afterwards, maybe like 14 days later, I only accept 7 night stays. And then in the future, maybe 30 days out, I only accept 30-night stays. And then after 45 days, I only accept 45-day stays, and then afterwards 90-day stays. So you still open up your calendar so it's completely visible as a home you can book, but you manage who can book and stay and how long.
Got it.
Okay. So then what happens when I collect it? My service to you is, once I collect your information, I'm happy to publish it out to these companies that I work with already. I know that they're just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for these insurance cases to land on their desk. But I'm sure that when those cases come through, they're going to need housing. So I'm trying to help bridge the gap between available housing and what's out there on Airbnb. How do we contact the host quickly? Because we know if you're an Airbnb host, it's very difficult to reach someone. So if we can bridge that gap by combining the host to the listing, to the phone number and the email, we can certainly try to navigate that for you as a service.
Got it. Real quick, Mike Lynn has a question, and I'm going to pop it up here. It looks like it'll take the whole screen for a second. He says, I've got a large 9-bedroom and 10-bedroom short-term rental in Banner Elk. It's open for all of October. No damage. It'll be ready in a day or two. Should he be doing anything different from a regular-sized house to try to get it occupied for the next few weeks?
And it's currently as a short-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's probably not that much time. I would say for me, the way I see STRs different from MTRs is having dressers, having lots of hangers, having enough plates and dishware. In this case, because it's such an interesting situation, maybe they don't all be washing dishes. Maybe you want to stock the house with paper plates and cups, right? Keep it environmental, right? Use paper if you can. But I think that's put yourself in the situation and how you would want it to be. Maybe you have extra inflatable mattresses in case someone else comes in for a short period of time, extra blankets, laundry detergent because they're going to be doing lots of laundry, right? Use your old towels for people to wipe down their pets so that if you want to keep your house clean. There's so many different ways you can think about this. I mean, just be open to advice and how people want to live when they're using the space.
Yeah, I think the one thing today you could probably do, Mike, is just make sure that that's in your title, and then submit. Especially what I want to highlight that Vivian did for us here is outside of her typical database, she's actually created a new database for all of our community here to submit their properties that are ready to host, and she will help make those connections out there. And so I think that is an incredible gesture that you've made, and a lot of work has obviously gone into that. You like spun that up so fast. Everybody, and I do have a link to that. So this is going to go out via our email list. So if you want to put your email down in the bottom, you should also join Vivian's Facebook group, Midterm Rental Wealth. And I'm sure that she'll be sending out this deck to probably her email list too as well. So make sure to drop your email in and go drop into her Facebook group and contact her as well if y'all are interested in this. All right. So Laura asked, what site do you recommend for screening? You're doing that through Journey, right?
I am doing that through Journey. I've been piloting Journey now for 9 months, and it's really, really changed the way I do business. It is so much simpler to use than other property management systems that I've used. And I really love the tech that they've enabled in it because all I have to do now is be control tower, right? I have to worry about boots on the ground and being control tower for messaging. But other than that, all the paperwork pushing, all the security screening, all the security deposits, all that is done for me. I don't have to worry about any of that. And I have people shocked all the time. It's like, how did you do screening? Well, it's all built into Journey.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, very cool. Well, we'll send the link out for that as well once we take a look at the deck. And that's going to go in the email to everybody.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, what's next? What else do people need to know?
Yeah, be open-minded. I know that everybody's really excited about these insurance bookings, but I wanted to really preface in this meeting that there are a lot of people that don't have insurance, because this is a tragedy that happened that they never anticipated. And also be open-minded that there's going to be people that are helping the situation that they're paying out of their own pocket, right? So you can still run your STR rates if you want to, but ideally your STR rates your monthly rates should be about 20% to 25% less than your STR nightly rates. But this is, to me, it's an opportunity to be a human and help other people. And at the end of the day, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, not only is it the right thing to do, but also if it is only 20% less than what your STR rates would be, that's pretty freaking good for a month where we've got bookings just canceling left and right, a month or two of that happening as tourism really slows down during our busy season. So, you're helping not only the local economy here, Vivian, but you're also helping the short-term rental host economy, where MTRs really are not a huge piece of our business here typically. So thank you for doing that. Okay, what else is in this deck that we need to see or know?
I pretty much shared most of it.
Okay.
There's not much more I needed to share other than when I take your information, I'm going to try and gather as much as I can by the end of day tomorrow. That way I can send it off to the companies that use midterm rentals, like the insurance companies and other ones as well. And then I'm going to send it off to the Mormon church that my sister-in-law belongs to. She'll distribute it. Her brother is actually one of the people that are volunteering in North Carolina. So I can send that out and hopefully the list gets shared. And I'm not here to make any money off of this. If you need my help, sure. I do charge like an admin fee on it. But at the end of the day, if I'm able to create a community of people that will circulate and help each other in a database, I'm happy to share that.
Well, thank you,
I
Vivian.
think speed is of essence here.
Anybody have any other questions here on Vivian's side of things? I think really what I like most is you're kind of involved in execution. That's really the main thing here. So any other tips for anybody that their calendar is empty for the next, couple of months because all these cancellations have happened? What else could they do?
Yeah, if you're outside of the zones where the flooding actually happened, my sister-in-law mentioned that they'll travel up to 2 hours outside of those areas because the housing is so limited. What I'm hearing is that the hotels are already fully booked. A lot of local Airbnbs are fully booked. So if you're if you're, an hour and a half away, that's still okay. There's still going to be people that are using them. There's going to be the contractors. There'll be families. I mean, at the end of the day, people want to be in a home, and you position this to the businesses as we're way cheaper than hotels. A hotel might be $300 for 6 people, right? No, for like 12 people, 4 people per room. Or you can have $300 per night and you have a kitchen. They don't have to approve expenses on dinners anymore. Plus, restaurants might not be open. They might just want to eat at home in a home environment. Maybe they have pets, and having a fully fenced backyard, having those amenities will be great as well.
Yeah, and I mean, no, one thing that we talked about earlier was be easy to do business with. And, I think that's really important. I've always been that way on short-term rentals, but allow pets if you possibly can. If it's not absolutely unnecessary to not do it, then you should be doing things like allowing pets, and just open up as many potential options or as many potential ways for people to book as possible. Rain here posted, they don't have power right now, which a lot of us still don't. And they're not going to open the house until then, but would it still be good to submit? I'm
Yes.
assuming, yeah, they're saying to your database, they should
Yeah.
submit their listing
Yes.
now, right?
Yes. And if you have an Airbnb listing and it's not live right now, unsnooze it, but just make your just let people be able to find pictures and know where the location and everything is. And then maybe make it so that they have to inquire to book instead of instant book if you're not ready for that. But I think if you add your property to the database, because
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and funnel that over to the businesses that use them.
And I think one important thing you just said was if you're blocking your calendar right now, that is the very next thing you should do after this live is open your calendar and turn instant book off if you have to for a little while. But actually, I haven't even changed anything on my book. People can still instant book, and I'm still getting inquiries left and right because the first question they're asking is, do you have power and water? Jade, I will send out a link right after this to the database that Vivian created for us specifically, and that'll come out directly to all of you that are watching. It's going to go out to my email list. I can also post maybe like a link to that email. If you're not on any of our email lists, if you want to drop your email, I will add you before I send this email out, and it's going to contain all the resources, all the tips. Vivian had shared an email. She's going to send me this deck as well so that we can go ahead and get this out to you guys. And really, we just want to be here as a big resource for y'all. She did share an insurance adjuster's email address. That's going to be a really good place if you have had any damage on what to do. We've had workers and contractors already try to come out, water mitigation companies, and we've been told by these adjusters, don't start the work yet. Like, let it take its time so that you do things in the right way, because you don't want to, just because some contractor's telling you today it's only going to be 10,000, you can get it real fixed up, and then you hope insurance is going to pay for it later, and the actual insurance, quote ends up being more. Wouldn't you rather have it done the right way by the insurance company? It's going to be more expensive to them anyways. This is what they're there for. This is what you pay for all the time. So just make sure to do things the right way and don't rush into it. If you do have damage, you'd be much safer just doing things the right way than trying to do it overnight.
Yeah, don't panic, right? As soon as, I'm hearing these I'm on several Facebook groups where there's like water mitigation and stuff. And I'm hearing that these these fly-by-night contractors are going in and charging $12 to $17 per square foot just to demo. So in reading that thread, it sounds like the appropriate price is somewhere between $7 to $9 a square foot to demo, including drying. Okay. So if anybody is thinking numbers and how much is this going to cost to rectify, keep that $7 to $9 in mind and don't rush into it. Get everything approved by your insurance first. Because if
It's
you don't, you will be on the hook for that bill.
I'm writing that down right now, and I want to just say it again: $7 to $9 a square foot for demo, clean and cleanup and mitigation of the water. You're not going to get the repair done for that. You're not going to get the new drywall or cabinetry or baseboards or whatever, but that's all the demo. And it's crazy that you're saying that, because I just looked at a quote yesterday for $27,000 for a thousand square feet, just the basement level, and
Yeah.
it had only gone up like 4 inches, and it was a $27,000 quote. So what you're saying is that should actually be $7,000 to $9,000. What a crazy difference!
$7 to $9 a square foot.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, like when I talked to my sister-in-law, the Mormon church is doing a lot of relief efforts. You don't have to be a member of the church. That is just what they do. They were a huge part of Hurricane Harvey. I really admire the work that they do. I mean, it's phenomenal how much they put out there.
Yeah, and you're saying they pay for their own flights and everything, which is just amazing. So I love to hear that, and the whole community's come together so much. And I just want to thank you and Dr. Rachel for coming and pouring into our community like this, so that folks can get off their feet. Because I say this all the time. People think that our investors and short-term rental investors are like BlackRock, or they own like dozens of houses or something. But my normal client is like a nurse that works 80 hours a week, that has a small family, and they're just trying to get ahead in this world. And we are not huge time investors, like we are investing our life savings every time to do the next one.
Yeah.
So thank you for pouring into us today. Anything else anybody needs to know?
Just keep your eyes and ears open and pass around the database. I'm trying to collect that and update that, and I'll send it off every other day if I can to the insurance companies. That way they keep in touch. Here's the thing. When something like this happens and you only have one property, it is already so hard to call the insurance companies and say, "Hey, do you have someone that might need a 3 bedroom, 2 bath in this exact zip code?" Or I provide the service for them where I gather the collection for them and they come to me to have, hundreds of choices to choose from. It just, from a resource perspective, it just makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, thank you for doing it. Thank you for being that leader in this community. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So we're really, really appreciative. And what I would do, y'all, is once we get this link out to you, and I'm going to post the link in the comments section as well, so y'all can get on this as fast as possible. You want to be on this list the first time this goes out to Vivian's database, right? Like this is going to be the database right now for insurance stuff. So make sure you make it a priority to get your property in there. There's some questions, but she's made it really, really simple for us to add all the information in there. It's a really simple form. I looked at it earlier, and I'm going to immediately after this call go get my property in it too, so that
Yeah.
hopefully we can get at least October for the month, for disaster relief or law enforcement, get somebody in there. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vivian. How can people get in touch with you?
They can follow me on Instagram, Vivian Yip _official, and they can join my Facebook group, Midterm Rental Wealth with Vivian Yip.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys for spending a couple hours with me and my two amazing guests today. And